So I work with an organisation, a charity called Time to Be Out, and we focus on alleviating stress in a particular group of asylum seekers, and that particular group is LGBT plus asylum seekers.
Okay. And within the LGBT plus community of asylum seekers, if we could call it a community, what sort of tolerance is there for diversity in general?
From other asylum seekers?
Yeah.
I don't want to generalize, but we come across a lot of cases of individual bullying in households when people find out about somebody's sexuality claim from their own communities, where people have to stay quiet, have to stay silent about why they're claiming asylum. People, we've heard many times comments such as, "You are shaming our community." I could talk about particular nationalities or particular cultures. A lot we hear this. So bullying in houses.
This is from the Arab
for
diaspora,
example,
effectively.
It could be Arab diaspora, it could be Afghani, Pakistani, Sub-Saharan Africa. People who say, back home you would be killed, and we would have done it, basically.
Wow. Are there any countries that wouldn't say that?
I think rather than talk country, I talk gender.
Okay.
And all these comments, all these bullying behaviours, apart from in one case, have been from men.
Right. Right. And so there's a degree of, I remember you used a word once, invisibility.
People stay invisible here to stay safe, much as they did back home.
Yeah.
But of course here, step by step, through knowing about and then attending LGBT support groups, they learn that you don't have to be invisible.
And so things are changing. There's a sort of a growing awareness of liberalism, maybe.
No, people change.
Yeah.
People change. I can think of two, without mentioning their names, two particular people who have made significant progress in themselves in being able to self-define sexuality-wise in a different way.
Yeah.
I'm finding that despite the poverty and certain threats living here, because there's a big link between mental health and ability to express yourself sexually, people are actually happier.
Okay.
But it does involve a massive, practically unanimous family rejection back home. Of course, these group people tend to arrive here on their own. Though I know a couple who arrived, two couples recently who arrived together, so they don't have the social or community support that other groups would have.
There isn't a network.
They have to find a network here.
Yeah.
And they find that network, and I do use the word community, because they find that network actually, ironically, amongst other nationalities.
Right. Yeah.
They don't find it, and that community is linked by their sexuality, not by their affiliation to. They're not to fellow Ethiopians or fellow Pakistanis or Syrians.
Yeah. So in terms of diversity in general, so spreading it out from gender diversity or sexuality diversity, in terms of, for instance, class diversity, ethnic diversity, and then, for my particular interest, neurodiversity, autism and dyslexia.
I could generalize and say many of the people we do work with tend to have had a formal education, because that formal education gave them two things. A, the ability to self-define, I am different, and B, I have to get out before I'm killed.
Yeah.
And therefore we do mix, compared to other refugee groups, with people who have had to understand themselves more.
And these are the people who've been successful at education, you'd say.
They tend to be people who've had a formal education, because that's, as I said, allowed them to self-define, to justify, well, yes, I am different, but I'm not inferior. I am different, and there are places where people like me can be.
So the ability to escape is linked with the ability to, is linked with the history of an education.
Yeah, the majority of asylum seekers come and claim because of their political affiliations or because there's a war. And our groups come because they can't live
Yeah.
where they come from. Their communities don't accept them. No community accepts them.
Yeah.
And so they are permanent refugees, and ironically, for the first time, people actually find a home here.
Yeah. They're sort of a home of the dispossessed.
Yeah. So it's not they're recreating their lives, and that's an essential difference. They're not rebuilding. They are building for the first time. So it's quite a different psychological state.
I suppose one of the things I'm getting at is that it sounds like those people who have got the wherewithal to escape are the people who've had the education. But those with neurodiversity don't get the education, so they're less likely to be able to escape.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that would absolutely be the case. They wouldn't perhaps in a home country have access to an education system which understands their needs and gives them appropriate treatment.
Yeah.
I don't mean treatment because they're sick. I mean an appropriate pedagogical approach.
Yeah.
So that would be the case.
Yeah.
It's interesting because I still work amongst the regular asylum-seeking community, and you'll have a range of people from the sophisticated, I was very educated, I had a very good job, and now I'm here driving a taxi, to people who came from rural environments who, for example, couldn't read or write in Arabic, and we're expecting them to be successful here. But we deal with another kind of constituency, I would say, generally.
Yeah.
People who've understood enough about themselves to say, I have to get out.
So these people from the rural communities, without the education, do they face different challenges?
Absolutely. Well, here, if you have English teachers or the refugee council who doesn't understand that this guy can't read or write in his own language, and there might be, it's only perhaps a tenuous link, I'm not sure, but there may be a connection between people who have had the privilege of some kind of formal education, who know that other worlds, other mentalities, other ways of being do exist.
And have the broadness of the mind to be able to understand that you can navigate this.
Yeah, but I would say that a person, woman, man or transgender of a homosexual nature, if that exists, has always had to navigate and negotiate.
Yeah, they've always been on the run.
Yeah, I think that's said better than I just did. They've always been on the run, and actually maybe here they stop. They don't have to.